Children, now you have to learn about the last lesson, sixth lesson, a revolution and everyday life. Children, you had already learned the causes of French Revolution and events are the course of the revolution. Now we have to learn what are the changes in the life of people because of the revolution. Children, one of the most important law that came into effect soon after the storming of the Bastille prison in summer of 1789 was the abolition of censorship. Abolition of censorship. In the old regime, children, I already told old regime. What is the meaning? What is the meaning? What is the meaning of the old regime? The society and institutions of France before 1789. That means before the French Revolution. In the old regime, censorship. All written material, cultural activities, for example, books, newspapers, plays, could be published or performed only after they had been approved by the censors of the king. Without the permission of the king, they cannot publish or they cannot perform. Okay, but now Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen proclaimed freedom of speech and expression as a natural right. So they are rights. No need to depend upon the king like that earlier. No, Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen proclaimed freedom of speech and expression to be a natural right. So they can publish, they can perform. Newspapers, pamphlets, books, printed picture flooded the towns of France. From there, travel to the villages also, countryside. Because no control, because they are the natural rights. What are the natural rights? Freedom of speech and expression, or natural right. They can publish the books, newspapers, pamphlets, everything. They are flooded the France town, from where they travel to the countryside villages. They all described about the events of the French Revolution. Okay. Or the French, even the opposite views also they can publish. They can convince others also. Plays, songs, all festive friends attract a large number of people. So the French philosophers wrote, no, like equality, liberty, no, all these expressed in these writings in the newspapers, all these. Children, now you see in this picture, that is, here words are there in the activity in your textbook, and you, by using that words, you have to answer this. Children, this figure, very good one. Here what is there? The patriotic fat reducing press. Children, here greed. See, the words are in their activity. Greed is symbolized by fat clergy man. And two government officials are taken. That means they are taking the assets of church. Because children, now that is they abolished all the feudal Jews, all these. Now the church also they have to hand over all the assets. Now you see the government officials, that the two are accompanying. Taking the assets of the church. Who represents justice? Fat reducing press. But in the right side, you see, men and women are there. That shows the equality. So French Revolution gave these ideas, that is justice, liberty, equality, all this no. Now this was the famous picture depict the ideals of the French Revolution. Is it clear, children? Justice represents the fat reducing press. Greed is symbolized by fat clergymen. Government appeals effect means taking the assets of the church. Right hand side man and woman is there means no symbolize the equality, because the French Revolution stood for the liberty, equality, all this. Children, do you understand now? Now, by 1804, Napoleon Bonaparte, children, 1799 he became the consulate. 1789 French Revolution started. By 1799, 10 years, became the consulate, Napoleon Bonaparte. By 1804, Napoleon Bonaparte crowned himself as the Emperor of France. So, he destroyed democracy and he established monarchy. He conquered many neighboring countries, disposing the dynasties, and appointed his own family members, creating the kingdoms. Napoleon saw his role as a modernizer of Europe. He is a very good reformer. He introduced the Napoleon Code, also called the Civil Code. For example, protection of private property, uniform system of weights and measures provided by decimal system, like that, no, very good reforms. Napoleon, children, not only a great conqueror, but also good administrator. He introduced very good reforms. For example, protection of private property, uniform system of weights and measures. Okay, like that, no, very good reforms. So he viewed it as a modernizer of Europe. But soon, Napoleon armies, no, people first welcomed Napoleon armies in neighboring countries. Okay, Napoleon bring the freedom for us, like that, like harbinger of freedom. But no, later no, proved he was Napoleon armies are invading force only, because he conquered and appointed his family members as the rulers of all these countries. So after that, no, Napoleon was finally defeated in the Battle of Waterloo, 1815. In which year? 1815. The European countries like Britain and Prussia, Austria, Russia, all these four, no, together defeated the Napoleon in the 1815 Battle of Waterloo. Many of his measures that carried the revolution ideas, no, liberty and modern laws, no, but the other parts of the Europe had an impact on the people long after Napoleon had left, because he was a very good reformer. Very good reform. Napoleon Code, or the Common Civil Code, he introduced. Children, now the ideals of liberty and democratic rights are the legacy of the French Revolution. These spread from France to the rest of the Europe during the 19th century. So where the feudal systems are abolished. And in Asian African countries also, no, they are the European control. Suppose in India, freedom movement was also inspired by the French Revolution. Even our constitution, no, in the preamble, liberty, equality, fraternity, no, from where we have taken this? From the French constitution. Yeah, in the freedom movements in all these Asian African colonies, no, they were inspired by the French Revolution. No, their freedom movements, no, not only to gain independence, but to creation of sovereign nation state. In our country, Napoleon and Tipu Sultan, they were welcomed the ideals coming from the revolutionary friends. Children, do you understand the revolution in everyday life? And legacy of the French Revolution? What is the legacy of the French Revolution? Liberty and democratic rights. Children, do you understand this figure now? Fact reduction press. See, the revolution, justice, equality, all expressed in this figure. Children, now note down the assignment and answer the questions. Now you see, children, 1804 Napoleon Bonaparte now crowned himself as the emperor, conquer the neighboring countries as a modernizer of Europe. Many laws such as the protection of private property, uniform system of weights and measures like that. But he was defeated in 1815 Waterloo War. But the ideals of liberty and democrats, no, important, like the French Revolution, that from France to the rest of the Europe, where the feudal systems are abolished. Colonized people also reworked the idea of freedom from the bondage. Their movement to create a sovereign state. And in our country, Tipu Sultan Raja Ramohan Rai also inspired by, respond to the ideals coming from the friends. Children, note down the questions and answer the questions.